I've lived in a world of death. I tried to come home, but I never really arrived.
Is Rambo 6 finally going to bring the franchise back to its roots, or will it continue the chaos of Last Blood? After all the ups and downs, with the character's violent evolution, it's hard to ignore how the latest film seems to totally betray what made Rambo iconic. From abandoning his anti-war message to becoming a one-man wrecking crew, Rambo Last Blood really did a number on the character. But now, could we see a prequel, or will we get a fresh reboot of the franchise entirely? And what about those questions left hanging? Will Rambo ever find peace, or is he destined for more bloody vengeance? Stick around as we dive into all the possibilities for Rambo 6 and where the franchise could go next. Even though Stallone has said he's done with the Rambo franchise, people are still talking about Rambo 6. After all, Stallone has a history of coming back to characters he's claimed to have retired, Rambo included. The character first appeared in First Blood in 1982, based on David Morrell's 1972 novel, and Stallone's portrayal turned Rambo into one of the most iconic action heroes of the 80s. After Rambo III in 1988, it seemed like the franchise was finished, until Stallone brought him back in 2008, and again in Rambo Last Blood in 2019. With Rambo making a comeback not once but twice, it's no surprise people are still asking Stallone about Rambo 6. Considering Stallone's other legendary characters like Rocky Balboa and Barney Ross from The Expendables have also made returns beyond their final films, fans are holding out hope that Last Blood wasn't actually the end. While it's unlikely we'll hear about a Rambo 6 release anytime soon, there have been some ideas for the sequel floating around, and it's not totally out of the question for Rambo to return, whether it's with Stallone or someone new. The latest update on Rambo 6 comes straight from Stallone himself, and once again, he made it clear that he's done with the franchise. In an interview at the Toronto International Film Festival, Stallone was asked about returning for Rambo 6, and he humorously explained that his age is one of the main reasons he's not interested. At 77, he jokingly asked, "What am I fighting, arthritis?" While he's aware there's still demand for another Rambo, he made it clear that he feels the character's journey is over. So, if Stallone is officially out, it raises the question of who could step into John Rambo's boots. While no official talks have taken place, there are plenty of action stars who could potentially take on the role, giving it their own spin. Actors like John Cena, Alan Ritchson, or even Henry Cavill could bring something fresh to the character, much like how various actors have taken on the role of James Bond over the years. As for the plot of Rambo 6, there are a couple of directions it could go. One option is a continuation of Rambo Last Blood, where we see Rambo in a new situation, possibly similar to the way the first Rambo film played out. Another route could be a prequel, exploring Rambo's time in Vietnam and showing how he transformed from an all-American hero into the broken warrior we know. Stallone himself has expressed interest in a prequel, so that's definitely an option. Realistically, the most likely direction for Rambo 6 is a full reboot of the franchise. While Stallone made the role iconic, action franchises have proven they can survive a cast change. Just look at how different actors have played Jack Ryan in the Tom Clancy movies, each bringing their own take on the character. If Stallone sticks to his decision not to return, there's no reason the Rambo story couldn't be reimagined with a new actor, continuing the adventures of John Rambo for a new generation. In addition, Rambo Last Blood stayed pretty far from what the franchise was originally about. While earlier Rambo films tried to comment on real-world conflicts, Last Blood ditched that for a more straightforward, Taken-style revenge story. This time, Rambo goes after a human trafficking ring, which felt more like a generic action thriller than anything connected to the deeper themes the series had previously explored. Unfortunately, the movie also ended up tapping into some uncomfortable anti-Mexican undertones, reflecting the political climate at the time. In the end, Last Blood didn't feel like a true Rambo film at all, more like an action flick with a Rambo name slapped on it. In Rambo 6, there's a real chance to bring the franchise back to its roots. The next installment could revisit the deeper, more meaningful themes that made the character of John Rambo so iconic in the first place. Instead of just focusing on a revenge-driven plot, the film could explore the psychological toll of war and the struggles veterans face after service, just like First Blood did. This would bring the series back to its anti-war commentary and the emotional depth that made the character resonate with audiences in the beginning. Additionally, Rambo 6 could steer clear of the stereotypical revenge storylines seen in Last Blood and delve into a more complex political or social issue, offering a commentary on the world today. This approach would not only honor the legacy of the character, but also give the film more weight and relevance in today's cinematic landscape. Another direction the film could take is revisiting Rambo's time in Vietnam, giving audiences a deeper look at what made him the man he is. This could tap into the emotional core of the franchise, exploring the transformation from a golden boy to a broken warrior. With a new perspective and a return to the series' original themes, Rambo 6 could provide the perfect opportunity to correct the course and deliver a compelling, thought-provoking chapter for the character. And let's not forget, Last Blood's ending couldn't and didn't top Rambo 4. That movie delivered one of the most outrageous body counts in cinematic history with its over-the-top violence. The creators of Last Blood seemed to realize they couldn't match that carnage, so they went for a different shock factor, more brutal up-close gore. But this attempt to escalate the violence actually backfired, making the film feel more like a horror movie than an action-packed finale. The infamous scene where Rambo rips out a heart in extreme close-up didn't fit with the overall tone of the movie. It felt out of place, especially when compared to the more straightforward, intense action of earlier Rambo films. Last Blood tried too hard to be shocking, but in the process, it lost the gritty war drama feel that made Rambo 4 stand out. In Rambo 6, the filmmakers have a chance to course-correct and return to the franchise's roots. Instead of relying on shock value and excessive gore, they could focus on capturing the emotional depth and the psychological toll of war, elements that made First Blood and Rambo 4 so powerful. With the possibility of John Rambo either coming out of retirement or exploring his past, the next installment could offer a more grounded and thoughtful story that centers on Rambo's inner conflict, his struggles with the past, and his search for redemption. Rather than upping the violence to extreme levels, Rambo 6 could focus on a more personal journey. It could delve into Rambo's relationships with those he's lost, his struggles to reconnect with society, or even tackle new global conflicts that resonate with the character's history. This would allow for a better, more meaningful exploration of his character without relying on the tired revenge thriller tropes that defined Last Blood. Ultimately, by grounding the story more in Rambo's emotional struggles and personal growth, Rambo 6 could honor the essence of the character while still providing thrilling action scenes. This shift would allow the film to reclaim the franchise's heart without resorting to excessive gore or cheesy horror tropes. A more restrained, emotionally driven plot could offer a more satisfying conclusion to Rambo's saga, especially if Stallone decides to pass the torch to a new actor. And that's that for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we will see you in the next one. Your suggestions for future videos are always welcome in the comments below.